Hello children, we move on to the next story of your lesson Vistas, Evans Tries an O-Level by Colin Dexter. Now Evans is a prisoner and O-Level is an exam in elementary German language. But before we start with the story, a little about the author. Now Colin Dexter is a British crime writer known for Inspector Endeavour Morse. Now out of this entire information, you just need to know about 2 to 3 points so that you are able to attempt your 1-mark questions. One is this, that he is known for this novel Inspector Endeavour Morse. Then the next, he's won number of prizes, and this particular novel was adopted as television series. Then moving ahead, we move on to is he was conferred with the 1996 Mcqs Award for this story, the one which we are going to do now, Evans Tries an O-Level. So from the entire portion about the author, we pick up 2 to 3 things. One, Colin Dexter. Next, he is known for Inspector Endeavour Morse. The novel which he wrote became very popular and then was adopted as television series. And then we come to our own story, Evans Tries an O-Level, and he had won this award, Mcqs Award, for this story. That is it for the author. Now we move on to the summary of Evans Tries an O-Level. Now Evans Tries an O-Level is a detailed story, and I've told you earlier also, without the text it's going to be difficult for you. How you're going to prepare your story is, first you are going to read your summary, listen to the summary, then you will go back to your text, read it properly, and then return back to the question answers, right? Okay, now we move on to the story, Evans Tries an O-Level. Now his complete name was James Roderick Evans. So this was his complete name. James Roderick Evans was a prison breaker. He was known as Evans the Break, and the reason why he was known as Evans the Break was because he had escaped from the prison 3 times. Who was used to having the last laugh? After breaking out thrice, he was in prison again. So what was he known as? He was known as Evans the Break. By the prison authorities. Now he decided to break away for the 4th time, and this is what the story is about, and he was quite successful also. Now how he did it, how he planned out, how he manipulated the whole situation, how he was able to outwit all the prison officials and managed to escape the 4th time. Now he did so by desiring to have some sort of academic qualification. You must be aware that in prison, prisoners are allowed to prepare for their exams. If you wish to carry on with your qualifications, you are allowed. So this prisoner, Evans, even he expressed his desire to pursue his academics, and he wanted to give an exam. Because unless you give your exam, you're not fully qualified. So while serving in his imprisonment, he expressed his desire for the academic qualification, and the governor of the Oxford prison had a soft corner for Evans, and so he agreed. Now for this he wanted to take the O-Level examination in German. Now Evans was taught by a tutor, and there was no other prisoner along with him to take those classes, so he was the only one who was taking classes in German O level. Now this particular teacher, had he taken classes outside, would have costed him quite a lot, but here he was taking individual tuition in the examination in O level German. Now exam was arranged in his cell, and all preparations were done, and the governor wanted to ensure that this prisoner should not bring an embarrassment to him by escaping the fourth time. So he had taken every sort of precautions. The exam was supposed to be conducted in Ivan's cell, which had 2 locked doors and a very high wall. Ivan's cell was examined thoroughly by 2 officers, Jackson, the senior prison officer, and Stephens, the recently recruited officer. Both of them had thoroughly examined the cell, and they had removed all the sharp objects like nail scissors and nail filer. And now, on the day of the exam, they again came to see that he had got ready for the examination, but he was just shaving. And so Jackson just whispered into Stephen's ears that once he is finished shaving, take away the blade, otherwise he might cut his throat and do us all a favor. No? But then Evans was a very clever prisoner, not a person who would cut his throat. Now then he was a little annoyed. He says, "Have you taken my nail scissors?" So Jackson said that they were the orders of the governor. And then Jackson told him to get ready for the exam, and he also asked him to remove those pin-ups. Now exam was arranged in a cell, and McCleary, the invigilator, was called to invigilate for the examination. All the arrangements of security was made by the governor himself. 2 prison officers were deputed. Who were the 2 prison officers? Jackson, the senior prison officer, and Stephens, the junior prison officer, were the 2 officers who were appointed, who were deputed to keep an eye on Evans. Now then there are, you need to remember one thing when you will be going through your text. There are a number of questions related to time. At 8:30 p.m., that's one day before the examination, Evans' German teacher comes in order to wish him good luck, and he in German said, "Guten Glück." Evans could not understand. So he says, "Good luck, old son." No? And although I don't think so, there's least possibility of your clearing the exam. So Evans said, I may surprise everyone. Now here the surprise word carries 2 things. I may give a good performance, and the second is that escaping, which gradually happens to be the second thing. Then there's another question related to 8:30 a.m. This particular question has come in your board exam earlier. The question that had come was, who were the 2 prison officers to Evans' cell at 8:30 a.m.? So the answer that you would be writing is Jackson, the senior prison officer, and Stephens, the recently recruited officer, were the 2 officers who had come to see that Evans had got ready for the examination. Now when the exam, however, later it was found that Evans, okay, now McCleary, the invigilator, he is escorted inside, he comes inside and the doors are locked in, and this prisoner was holding his elementary grammar book in his hand, and then The invigilator gave him some instructions. Now here again, the instructions that he gave them about the index number and the center number, these two numbers were the code words which gradually lead to his escape. Now the exam started, it has started, and now there are these 3 fake calls during the examination. Now the exam starts 10 minutes late, and the reason why it started late was because governor sitting in his office had this thought that probably the invigilator might have brought something with him, unknowingly, with which Evans may try to threaten him. So he just sent quick instructions that get the invigilator frisked. So he said, I don't mind. So an invigilator walked out, stretched out his arms, and Jackson frisked him. Now when he was examining his belongings, there was something which really puzzled him, and that was a semi-inflated rubber ring. Now he was really surprised. Again, this was an important point. He asked the invigilator, are you going for a swim, sir? You don't need a rubber tube for the exam. So he just explained that I suffer from hemorrhoids. But actually, gradually we get to know, when we read the story further, that this particular person happened to be his companion, Evans. Now he had brought pig's blood in that rubber tube, which is later on disclosed to us. Now the exam begins, and then there's a fake call from the examination board, and those people get to know that the exam started late. Then they inform about the correction slip. There was a correction slip, and through the correction they were actually informing Evans about his whereabouts, where is he going to put up after he escapes. Although governor tried to use his wisdom, he tried to call back at the examination center just to cross check that it wasn't a fake call, but all the lines were engaged, so he could not communicate. Then there's another call, again during this examination period. It was a 2-hour examination. Then there's another call from the magistrate's office. Again, it was a hoax call. They wanted a prison van and a couple of prison officers. Now what would happen? One, a van was needed for Evans' escape, and then the security would reduce. Then there's this third call. Third call comes at 11:22. Now this call, which comes from again Evans' people. Now Jackson instructs Stephens. He just gives an indication, there's a call for you. So Stephens leaves the job and goes to attend the call. Now when he goes and he attends the call, again, that was not the real call, that was a hoax call. The purpose of Stephens going and attending the call was, 1, Evans needed time to give final touches to his plan of escape. Stephens was in rapidly spoken orders by the governor, who is actually not the governor, instructs him that after the exam gets over, it will be you who will escort the invigilator to the main gates. He is very happy that I'm recently appointed and I've been given this important task. So by the time he comes and the invigilator, he's all there ready, and now Stephens, he is going to drop the invigilator to the gate. Now when he is going to drop the invigilator to the gate, he observes some changes in the invigilator. 1, his Scots accent seemed broader. And then he looked slightly slimmer. And that long black overcoat which he was wearing, it was longer. But then he just brushes off this thought and he escorts him to the main gate and he returns back. Now he wants to go for a belated cup of coffee, but then he feels, let me just check the prison. Now he opens the gate and is shocked. Why is he shocked? He is shocked because the parson, McCleary, right? Now the parson was bleeding badly. He's in a state of shock. So that means now what news spreads in the prison? That Stephens has escorted Evans to the main gate, right? Evans disguised as McCleary. Remember the two words, either disguised word or the other word that you may try to remember is impersonating. Spellings are not difficult. I-M, person, you know the spelling of person, P-E-R-S-O-N, ating, A-T-I-N-G, right? So Evans impersonating as McCleary had walked out and Stephens had escorted him. And he had hit the invigilator because this man was badly bleeding. Now the governor is called in and the governor wants to take him to the hospital. But this parson, he says, I can help you. I can help you. I can tell you where Evans has gone. So he picks up the question paper and there is the photocopied sheet carefully and cleverly superimposed on the last page. And he shows them, look, this is his plan of escape. And he reads out 3 points which had practically taken place. Which had practically taken place, and then, all right, getting back to the summary here. Okay. Then this invigilator is taken to the hospital and later it was found that Evans had not escaped in the disguise of parson. He had stayed in and befooled the prison staff. Where do we get to know about this? How do we get to know about this? It was governor. It was governor who happened, because he knew German. He knew a little bit of German. So he was able to calculate his plans and he was able to reach his flat where the invigilator used to stay. What did they find over there? They found that the real McCleary was securely bound and gagged in his study. Bound is bandhna, gagged is muh pe kapde se. So what did they come to know? They came to know that the real invigilator had stayed in his flat all through the examination and it was McCleary, disguised, Evans' men disguised as McCleary had gone to the Oxford prison to conduct the examination. And it was actually the same person who had walked out. Now this man who had gone in to take the examination and was a friend of Evans, he had worn 2 complete dresses. So obviously when you would remove one coat, you would look slimmer. And then his Scots accent seemed broader. So when they go to the prison, they get to know it was not Evans impersonating as McCleary who had walked out. It had been Evans impersonating as McCleary who had stayed in. ठीक हो गया? McCleary was the one who was inside. Abhi tak what is the situation? Abhi tak the situation is that it is Evans. It is the invigilator who has been badly hit by Evans because he is profusely bleeding. But now they come to know that this man who is saying that I can help you, I can help and I can let you know where Evans is actually Evans. Right? Then we come to is, now the blood flowing from his head had not been his own, but the blood that was brought into the prison cell in that rubber tube. It was pig's blood brought from the slaughterhouse in Kidlington. You will have to remember the whole thing. Slaughterhouse also you will mention, slaughterhouse in Kidlington, because this again happens to be your Kidlington. It is Kidlington, the complete answer. Now the real McClary was tied by someone in his room since morning. In the end, Governor caught Evans in a hotel room and he was again sent away with a prison officer, but the prison van was the part of his plan. Now when he was arrested by governor, he's been sent into the van and the people there in the van happened to be Evans' friends. And when he was locked in and the prison officers, his friends said, where do we go? Which way do we go to? So he said, how about Newbury? So Evans, the plan was mastered by Evans' friend. This was once again, he became a free bird. So thus Evans was able to have a last laugh. Now here's just one little thing I just wish to tell you, and I'm sure you must be knowing. Now if you look at this apostrophe here, whenever the name ends in S and there's an apostrophe and you have to talk about some belonging, like you say, this is Ram's pen. So it will be Ram and apostrophe S and pen. Now if the name ends in S, like here, we talk about Evans. And now if we talk about Evans' pen, so we'll write on Evans an apostrophe but not another S. Just one apostrophe and we'll mention Evans' pen. Right? Okay. Now again, after just this brief summary which I've told you, I just once again tell you what you need to know is about the timings which are mentioned in the chapter, 8:30 p.m., 8:30 a.m., what time the paper started, and then the details about the invigilator who had come to invigilate the examination, and then also about Jackson, the senior prison officer, Stephens, the junior prison officer. And then what all precautions did the governor take for the smooth conduct of the examination, and then how did Evans finally manage to escape even under the tight, heavy security. Thank you. Now with this we are over with the summary. Hello children, now Maxx Marks has elaborately planned out your question answers. Fine. First, we begin with the extract based questions. I am reading out the extract to you. Evans the brake. See, when you mention, remember to put it in inverted commas like this also in your answer sheet. Just in case if it is required, if you're asked a question about, give a brief character sketch of Evans. So this happens to be a key point. Alright, I'm reading the extract to you. Evans the brake, as the prison officers called him, thrice he'd escaped from prison, and but for the recent wave of unrest in the maximum security establishments of up north, he wouldn't now be gracing the governor's premises in Oxford, and the governor was going to make absolutely certain that he wouldn't be disgracing them. Not that Evans was a real burden, just a persistent, nagging presence. He'd be all right in Oxford, though. The governor would see to that, would see to it personally. And besides, there was just a possibility that Evans was genuinely interested in O-level German. Just a slight possibility, just a very slight possibility. See, again, never ever think of attempting your questions without going through the extract. The first one, complete the following statement. The prison officers called him. Right in the beginning of the extract, it was very clearly mentioned, Evans the break. Now pick out the antonym of honoring from the extract. No? Pick out the antonym. They're not asking you for the synonym. They're asking you the opposite. Now what can be the opposite of honor? It has to do something with dishonor. Opposite of honor is dishonor. So, out of these 4 words, which one would we prefer? Very clearly, I'm saying even if we don't know the meaning. Let's say, honoring opposite, we know that it's dishonor. But then again, dishonor, something, it has to do with option B. Never ever give up. Never just think, oh, generally what happens is, whenever such questions come, give the synonyms, give the antonyms, the child starts looking left and right, trying to seek help. He'll not even use his mind. He'll not even think that at least let me try. Let me see if I can find out. And trust me, if you do it, if you properly examine the sentence, look at the word, I'm very sure you will come up with the correct answer. Name a European language from the extract. Now, they're talking about the extract. You don't have to start using your general knowledge and start recalling your, start thinking, oh, what could it be? They're saying from the extract. Now, if we talk about the extract, French, English, this was something very clearly mentioned. German. We don't know about the European languages. Fine. But what are they asking us is from the extract you need to pick out. And when you pick out from the extract, this was clearly mentioned. Then the next one. Find the words from the extract that mean sincerely. Sincere. What is sincere? Honestly. No? Then, honestly, can it be unrest? Can it be slight? Obviously. Sincerely, genuinely. Somewhere there you will find the similarity. Sincerely, genuinely is the correct answer. Then we come to the stand-alone MCQs. There are a number of stand-alone MCQs. Now, how you go about preparing them? It's not that you get the right answer and you just tick it and you tick it and you just, fine, I've done my 50 stand-alone MCQs. No. See what the actual answer is and why is it there, and try and absorb it, try and learn it, because the language of the question may vary. So be very clear with it, spend time on it and absorb it, because each mark counts in your examination. The police laid their hands on Evans in a hotel named. Now, these are stand-alone MCQs. So, for the stand-alone MCQs, right from the beginning, I have been insisting that it is very important to read your chapter and read it thoroughly, line-wise. Keep your pencil in your hand, keep underlining it, just make your own notes. Even if you have to scribble something in your book, just do it. That's your book. Go ahead with it. Make it, even if you, whatever points here, draw an arrow, write on the point, draw here, go ahead with it. So that it, when you open it, everything is just, you just have to revise it. So, it is the Golden Lion Hotel. Then we come up with the open-ended questions. Now, these open-ended questions, why did the governor apply for an examination for Evans? Why did he apply? See, you have these extrapolatory questions, then there are those inferences, and then you need to know your text and then be all ready with whatever question, because it is going to be related to your text. Now, Evans told the authorities that he was genuinely interested in learning German. So he was taught by a German teacher for about 6 months by the authorities. Now, when the German teacher said that Evans was prepared for an O-level exam and Evans himself wanted to take one, the governor of the prison applied to the examination board for his exam, right? So, and then governor had a soft corner for Evans. So, see, when it comes to open-ended questions and it's short answer type questions, there you need to be brief and you need to be to the point. The word limit remains 30 to 40 words, and try and answer only what the question is asking you. Do not go left and right. Do not go on adding information. Now here, like the question says, why did governor apply for the examination? So very clearly it has been mentioned that Evans told the authorities that he was interested in German. German teacher who used to come and teach him, taught him for 6 months. And then the German teacher said that Evans was all ready for the exam. And so the governor spoke to the secretary of the examination board and requested him to allow Evans to sit for the examination. Now then we move on to the long answer type questions. Then the long answer type questions, I told you earlier, you cannot and you need not memorize it from one end to the other end. Know your content and write the answer, ensuring that you do not make any grammatical error and no spelling mistakes. All this will come when you are well prepared. Now, the governor's pride in his little knowledge in German was of great help for Evans to escape. Explain. Now, the points: he faintly recognized the hidden message, became over-enthusiastic and decided to track the prisoner, forgot all the cautions and went blind with pride. This gave Evans a great opportunity to escape. Now the answer in detail. The governor's pride in his little knowledge in German was of great help for Evans to escape. Explain. The answer: the governor had learned a little German earlier and was proud of that. So he could understand that German a little. Now when he saw the correction sheet, it was the correction slip. Preferably if you could write on sheet, but slip. It was a correction slip. He became overexcited to show his German skills and wanted to trace the escaped Evans on his own. With the assistance of another officer, now due to his little knowledge of the German language, but his great pride in knowing it, he didn't understand the hidden message. Now we change our paragraph. Later, when the governor trapped Evans, he forgot all caution as he went blind with his pride. that again gave Evans a great opportunity to escape. So all in all, it was the governor's pride in his faint knowledge of German that made it so easy for Evans to escape. So these are the long answers which you need to prepare, at least about 4 to 5, which have been mentioned in Maxx marks. You need to prepare them, understand them, get the content ready and practice writing, Have your tests and write down. Children are not in the habit of writing actually, because you do not write, and that is why when you sit for the examination and you walk out of the exam saying that it was a lengthy paper, actually the paper is not lengthy. Paper is very well planned. They keep the passage, unseen passage, exactly as per the word limit that has been mentioned in the syllabus. The question, the number of questions, the number of word limit remains, everything remains the same. It is just your attempting it makes it lengthy, that you're not in the habit. So that's why sometimes children leave the question because they run short of time. So for that, you must have written practice, right? Thank you, children. Thank you so much.